He is associated with research and FPA. Research and FPA. So the program
You won't ever be able to do
जिन दोनों ने स्टीम रोलर चलाया वो एक सेंटेंस
इसका टेक्नोलॉजी आज तक जैसे चश्मा जो फॉगिंग हो जाता है ये समझ में नहीं आया कि लोग स्कूल को जला के ये फोटो से नहीं करते बहुत ज्यादा और खाने के बेसिस पर कॉफी क्या करना देखिए दिखता है लाभार्थी है त्रिवेणी संगम में जाइए नदी के बड़ा यूनिक है but the height of the depth of the river is not visible. And the actual is like this. नहीं गंगा में आपको इतना पड़ेगा और गंगा में इतना so where गंगा on the
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third and final day of the sixth National Conference on Social Entrepreneurship, Rethinking Development, Strengthening the Grassroots. Last 2 days, we saw a plethora of ideas emerging, some hard-hitting stories, and questions which have made us rethink our views and certain school of thought. Today, we start the seventh session, Democratizing Information and Media. Empowerment of communities is possible only when access to and control of community-relevant information remains with the community members. A decentralized media, therefore, is a critical component in enabling the local issues to surface and to be addressed. It also facilitates knowledge sharing within and among communities, and thus provides a channel for transmission of ideas and solutions. This session aims to showcase a few such localized grassroots media platforms which have helped strengthen participatory democracy within the community. I'd like to call upon the stage our moderator for today, Ravi Sinha from Greenleaf Energy. Our speakers of today are Osama Manzar, founder and director, Digital Empowerment Foundation. Shubhranshu Choudhary, founder, CGNet Swara. Pritam K Nanda, regional manager, Digital Green. I'd like to call upon Sinha to please present the bouquet to the moderators and the speakers of the day. A few words about our moderator, Mr. Ravi Sinha. Mr. Ravi Sinha is an alumnus of XLRI, 1977 batch. The first phase of Mr. Ravi's career path lasted over 33 years in the corporate world. His last assignment was as a director with Mercer Consulting for South Asia. In the second phase and current phase of his career, Ravi has been associated with advisory roles handling subjects around sustainability, CSR, and social business and enterprise. Mr. Ravi is associate with Distri, Greenleaf Energy Private Limited, and Akhanjoti Eye Hospital as an advisor, and is also visiting faculty at IIMs and EDI Ahmedabad. He is a mentor and a resource person for Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship at IIM Ahmedabad and GSP Santa Clara University. Mr. Ravi Sinha, please, we welcome you to start the session.
Thank you. Good morning. Can I request? I always was a backbencher in XLRI, and I know the fun there. So can you all come forward? Share a little secret with you. The best row is the front row. No speaker ever looks at you sleeping there. He always looks at the back row. Okay, good morning. I have a super boss, a guy with the beard and the Father Christmas. And I have a very, very onerous task of trying to do a 1.5-hour session in 40 minutes. So, my fellow panelists, use ICT to your best of ability now. Madhukar has given you a real-life virtual online calendar. Okay, jokes apart, yes, we do have a time constraint today because of the departure schedule of people, so I'm going to keep my words very short. The only thing which I will request Madhukar to avoid democratizing is the time factor. Yesterday we started at 9:30, so therefore democracy said that we can do it again today, and now we are stuck for time. But, you know, Joe yesterday said a very brilliant word, that Gandhiji said, go back to the village. And we actually showed up back to the villages. And if in communities, information is knowledge, knowledge also gives you power. And we have seen recently in the past how democratization of information knowledge integrated across a political spectrum has truly transformed some form of community radically. So there is a power of the information and the power of the media. And we have today the ability and the huge advantage of information and communication technology, and which my three esteemed panelists, Osama Manzar and Shubhranshu and Pritam, would be showcasing the work which they are doing in their own respective fields, using the power of ICT to democratize information and media. The medium is the message. And as the theme of the conference says, rethinking development. So I think there is a huge need to rethink again on this concept, this process of community sharing, community knowledge, community information, and using that process to enhance the community. So it's actually, I would say we are not really looking at strengthening the grassroots, we are actually strengthening the fundamental by rethinking development. And three gentlemen here who are doing phenomenal work. So without taking much time, we will have the big boss there has already given a five that no more than 20 minutes. Is that all right? I'll give you a little tinkle at 15 so that we'll still overshoot the time. So maybe a question or two can be taken in if the boss agrees to. So let's start in this order. Shubhranshu, would you like to kick it off? Like Anshul did yesterday, I am presuming that all of you have gone through this. If you have not, do so. And the profile of the three speakers are there. So I'm also going to save time by not repeating what is already written there. Shubhranshu.
Very good morning, everybody. Thank you very, very much for inviting me here. As you can see, like a true journalist, I'm not organized and I have no presentation, but if I can request to put the site where we work. As I said, I'm a journalist and the theme of this conference, which unfortunately I missed in last 2 days, is rethinking development. I am not a development person. I am a communication person. But we have been doing a bit of rethinking in last 10-15 years, and so are my colleagues. I would like to talk about that. I was something we call ourselves 5 killed, 7 injured journalist. Have you heard this term? No, it's coined by me. So what we do is we go and whatever we see, we report. And I used to work with BBC mainly, and it was South Asia which we were covering, and it was 90s. And if you imagine 90s, many of you were very young at that time. The whole of South Asia was in wars. You start from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Kashmir, just name it. So I was hopping from one war, to another earthquake, to another cyclone, and there was lots of information. The theme is democratizing information. But when something happens nearer to your heart or maybe nearer to your house, it makes you think or rethink. So while covering all these wars, there is a war started next to my house also. I come from not very far from this place, and this war is going on here as well. Which war is that? The Maoist problem, yes. We call it a problem. We call it a war. And I grew up in an Adivasi area, again not very far from here. And we were talking about backbenchers. And the backbenchers were these Adivasi boys and girls. In 25 years, they have converted themselves into, quote unquote, the biggest threat to the nation, which our Prime Minister called this problem, the biggest security threat or biggest internal security threat. So here I am. I am with best of equipments, best of resources while working in the BBC. And I'm giving you lots of information to you, but I had no clue how these backbenchers who I studied with, and they were not the ferocious types, they were not the martial race. You know the Adivasis here. I spent last 1 week traveling in Adivasi areas in Jharkhand, Thanks to Madhukarji, allowed me to come before. I was in Chaibasa last 2 days. I was in Dumka 2 days before in Santhal area and the Ho area. These are not the martial Adivasis. These were very meek, very gentle people. How come they turned themselves to what our Prime Minister calls the biggest terrorists? And that's what started to make me rethink on communication or journalism. And the answer came from them. Answer did not come from, unfortunately, XLRI or big communication institutes where we go, or from BBC. And what they said, what you are telling here, democratize your communication. And many of the problems of this world will be solved. I did not understand what they were saying before, but I understood it slowly, and that's what we are trying to do, and that's what you see here. So can you please say any of the, or maybe go a bit, this first one is a song where somebody is singing. Maybe the second one. Yeah, please. So this second one is saying 17-year-old Adivasis not getting whatever, and this is a message from Chaibasa area. From this is West Singhbum or this is East? This is East Singhbum. I think this one is from West or East. So no earth.
मैं मानती हूँ गांव छोटा होंगे पंचायत लोपाई कुटपति के अंतर्गत है हमारे अध्ययन के मामले है कि पिछले 2007 के सारे मिल रहे थे तथा हमारे भूखा की अभी बंद हो गई उस पर हम लोगों ने अध्यक्ष सभी प्रोग्राम दिए हैं लेकिन पर कोई खबरें नहीं हुई इसके लिए हमारे पंचायत सेवक का नंबर है 9470156252 जिसका नाम मानवेंद्र बोल है के बाद प्रखंड का पदाधिकारी का नंबर है 9955423934 नाम है उनका अरविंद कुमार तो श्रोताओं से अनुरोध है जो इस पर मदद करने के लिए हमारे जिला का नाम है सचिव से धन्यवाद मैं माफी बोल रही गाँव छोटा होंगे पंचायत लोपाई प्रखंड कुटपति के अंतर्गत है हमारे अध्ययन में ये समस्या है कि पिछले 2012
So it's not very audible because the person is reporting from a remote village in West Singhbum where the signal is not very good. You can hardly hear what he or she is saying, but this does the work. And if you do not solve these problems, जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं बूंद बूंद से घड़ा भरता है, वैसे these simple looking or very small problems, when they get together, when they get accumulated, that's what creates India's biggest internal security threat. And I'll tell you a story, not from this one, again from the same area. We can go back in few pages in this website. What we have done, no rocket science, what we have done is, as we talked about rethinking, as we talked about democratization, so we have gone to the last person, and the last person has one machine, which is, as far as communication goes, mobile phone. So mobile phone is a personal communication tool, and by just linking mobile phone to internet, we have tried to convert mobile phone to a mass communication tool. So what is happening now in this experiment, a very small experiment called CGNet Swara, they call up whatever their problems are. It can be a personal problem, but mainly a community problem. They record their problems on that computer, which they connect through a mobile phone. Some of us who are in the cities we look into it. This message was in Hindi, but the messages can be in languages which none of us understand. Like, I was quite surprised to hear from a father where we were doing this workshop in Chaibasa. He said, if you go to our villages, he said 90% of women do not speak any Hindi. They speak only Ho language. And the number varied, some said 60%, some said more. So I do not know what is the actual number, but these are the people who we are not hearing. These are the people who are at the receiving end of the current communication paradigm, which is only one way, which is top down. So we are giving lots of information to them. You know, like I said, when I worked as a journalist, we told them lots of information. Mahabadi, either say hundreds of Mahabadis came, which rifle they were using, what was the size of the rifle, all these minute details we gave, but there is very little we heard from them. So it is what I call is Asaram Bapu model of communication. It's one way, it's we are not that Asaram Bapu ka kaam. I'm talking about Pravachan ka kaam. So we know the best. We tell you what is good for you. We mean the journalists. We sitting in Ranchi, in Jamshedpur, in Delhi, in London, we decide. So the power is concentrated in the hands of few. So ICT or new technology or old technology. Now mobile is not very new technology. Internet is okay, new technology. If you link it with radio, every technology has its plus, has its minus. Like rural people have their strengths, have their weakness. We urban people, we have our strength and weakness. If we link these two, communication can actually solve problems. And if we solve small problems, we may end up creating a better future, a peaceful world. I'll end up with one story which actually came from this district. And you know about Saranda Forest, yeah? Saranda Forest, we all read that Maoists are there, and that's the next den of Maoists or the den of Maoists, blah, blah, blah. Jairam Ramesh is doing lots of work there. Just a few days back, we got a similar message from a woman called, I'm missing her name, it will come to me. She spoke in Mundari language and saying in that program which Jairam Ramesh runs, what is it called? No, it's Saranda Action Plan. So this lady, yes, on NREGA, so Saranda Action Plan has NREGA under it, I think. And this lady, Guru Bari something is her name, Devgam, I think. And she worked in NREGA as an assistant information or something person in a village who helps people to get NREGA work, get their wages and blah blah. And she did not get any salary for doing this work for 7 months. And that was a message which came in Mundari. She used her phone and recorded it. And then some of our friends who know that language translated it and put it out, as you saw, in Hindi and in English. And when it comes to internet, that's the power of this technology. It has its weakness, that it does not go to Gurudwari Devgam on the villages. It is in the hands of few of us, 5% or 10%, but it did reach Jairam Ramesh. I don't know how. Somebody put it on Facebook, somebody put it on Twitter like Osama, I don't know. But we got a reply from Jairam Ramesh saying, I'm looking into it, this cannot be correct. And he did constitute an inquiry, and he wrote to me again the next day. I have found out this is not correct, that this woman was never employed as a whatever assistant, employment assistant or anything. Then we called back this lady, and she does not speak any Hindi. You were never employed. How are you sick? Because they sent us a list also that, okay, see this village name is also not there. This woman's name is also not there. So how is she saying that she was employed? Now this lady again filed another report saying the PTO or whatever the officer was told me orally, कि आप काम शुरू करो, you start work. I did not get anything on paper, but I did work for 7 months. And they sent more interviews with local people who got help from her. So what I'm trying to say is there is two different worlds. There is a world of ours who believe in written word that we need to have an appointment letter. So Jairam Ramesh is also right that this lady did not have any appointment letter, so she should not get any salary. But this lady is also right because she comes from an oral world where she believes in some sahab. There was some Pandeyji who said ki aap kaam shuru karo and your appointment letter will come, and that Pandeyji immediately got transferred, so that appointment letter never came, and this lady worked for 7 months but never got a payment. And then what happens, I am generalizing it, that some people with guns come who can speak their language, who live with them unlike us, and say कि हमने तो आपको पहले ही बोला था इस व्यवस्था में आपके लिए कुछ नहीं है, आपको बंदूक उठाना पड़ेगा, you'll have to fight it. So this kind of stories accumulates, and that's what is happening in this country from 50, 60, 100 years, that we have not created a communication platform where we can hear these voices. If we can create a communication platform linking mobile, internet, and radio, we can create a democratic communication platform. We have democracy here, we have changed governments, and we live in an exciting time here. We were over the dinner talking about 2014 election, which is coming up in next few months, which gives us a great opportunity to change things. Many things are changing in Delhi, but if we want a real help, if we want a better democracy, if we want a functioning political democracy, we must work at democratizing our communication. If we do not have a functioning communication democratic, our information flow will be always skewed and we will take wrong decisions, problems will not be solved, and we cannot have a better future. So I will request all of you to please look at these new ways of doing communication and how can we scale it up, how can we make it sustainable. As I said, this is a small experiment where we have been able to link, and we are very pleased with its outcome, mobile and internet. In India, radio is very restricted because of legal hurdles. So we are not able to scale it. We are not able to make it sustainable. We are working with grants at the moment. We were discussing last night how. So I come here with the hope that you are the brains. How do we make this a working model? How it does not remain only an experiment, and like what we did in 1947 or what we celebrated earlier this year, this week on 26th January 1950, we changed from a Rajtantric model or an aristocratic model to a democratic model of governance, but that model cannot function very well as I speak from a communication point of view unless we have a democratic, bottom-up, two-way model of communication. And these new technologies of internet, mobile, and radio and maybe more gives us an opportunity to do this. And this is again a historic moment that we journalists, our biggest work is to use the netas. नेता लोग ने ये नहीं किया, ये चोर है, ये बदमाश है, ये ऐसा किया. But the same netas, the same political leaders gave us a democratic polity. It is working or it is not working. It is theoretical in nature. It's not working very well, all true. But we democratized ourselves 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Time has come that if we want a better functioning political democracy, we need to democratize our communication, our media, the way we speak, the way we communicate with each other. Then only we can make a better democratic community and have a better future and a peaceful world. Thank you very much once again for inviting me.
Absolutely done, Shubhranshu. The power of the medium and the power of time, both done beautifully. And we've seen how small solutions can change communities, can bind communities, simple solutions, and the power of the medium, as Shubhranshu very correctly said, and how the same medium, if comes top down in an exclusive fashion, can actually throttle democracy, or democracy as has been wrongly understood by the politicians here, and democracy as what it is now being re-understood. So this rethinking is actually going on at a national level. And I hope it becomes the power of the medium gives that strength to the community. So can I now request Pritam to, you have a presentation.
Not a presentation. Yes. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pritam. I come from an organization called Digital Green. What we'll do is I'll first show you what we, in about 5-7 minutes, what the organization is all about, what we do, and the whole technology that that is being used. And then I'll come to as to what we are finding out in the two big states that we work, in Andhra Pradesh and Bihar. Of course, we've got a pan-India presence on about 6-7 states. We'll first see the movie and then probably I'll talk.
Technology and social organization has been shown to improve the efficiency of social workers by a factor of 10 times per dollar. These videos. Digital Green organizes rural communities to produce and share videos that demonstrate innovative agricultural practices. These videos provide a valuable resource, helping farmers save and increase their yields, empowering social workers with better tools, farmers with better practices, and communities with the power to learn from each other. Traditional extension systems face a challenge in the sheer number and diversity of households they serve. Many farms are remote and difficult to access. Digital Green partners with local organizations. The use of video can increase the reach of targeted information and maximize the impact of social workers. This combination of technology and social organization has been shown to improve the efficiency of social workers by a factor of 10 times per dollar spent.
ये कि हम ये फिल्म देख के सीखे हैं कि भाई अपना ये आगे बढ़ने का ये खाद डालेंगे आगे बढ़ेंगे, फसल भी अपनी अच्छी आएगी। एक खुद ही खाद बना रहे अपना अपने घर के खाद गोबर वोबर के, तो ज्यादा मेहनत भी नहीं लगती और पहले बहुत बाजार से लानी पड़ती थी ये खाद और बीज के बारे में ये दवाई के बारे में, तो हम खुद ही करने लगेंगे।
Videos are recorded using inexpensive camcorders, external microphones, and tripods. They feature local farmers demonstrating the process and benefits of an agricultural technique. The farmer is assisted by someone to ask questions and prompt them to go into detail. Featuring people from the local community allows farmers to observe a technique in their own geographical context, demonstrated by someone of similar means. By seeing a practice work for their neighbor, farmers can find assurance that it can work for them as well.
Let's get local people, boys and girls from this area, and we'll train them into making foods. So that meant that they should know how to handle the camera, they should know what is editing. This stress on quality has always been there, and that also means, empowering the people who are working with this media.
Footage is edited into 10-minute videos, added to the library on the Digital Green website, and shared with the local community. Video screenings are organized weekly. They are facilitated by a member of the community and use mobile projectors and portable speakers. These events provide farmers with the opportunity to share experiences and examine new ideas with similar people. Oftentimes, seeing is believing. At each screening, data is collected, including farmers present, video screened, questions asked, and adoptions reported. Verified adoptions are reported on COCO, a software which allows data sharing in areas with limited internet access. Data is presented on the Digital Green website and can be explored by dates, locations, and other variables. Histories are created of each of the 100,000 farmers we work with and recorded online on Farmer Book. Wonder Village began with Facebook and connects the profiles of our farmers to the online community worldwide. Data informs the next generation of videos in an iterative process that continually addresses the needs and interests of the community. Digital Green videos are empowering everyone involved, from extension agents working more efficiently to communities that are brought closer together for local screenings and the farmers who can better provide for their families.
Thanks so much. So that is in a tiny nutshell as to what we essentially are and how we do, what is the technology about it, with whom we work, where does the information coming from, who uses it, how do they use it. So basically it's what we call a human mediated extension approach, which is much far away from what the traditional extension approach has been. The traditional extension approach has been a learn and teach method. I, as an extension worker, would be taught about technology. I would be expected to go from village to village, providing this input to many farmers. But that's got huge limitations. How many villages do I go to? How many farmers can I talk to? To overcome that, this little technology, which was formulated as a project in Microsoft Research. Okay, we'll start the presentation and then I'll take you through it. So what I'll do is I'll take you in bits and pieces as to where it started from, how this technology got incubated, and how we currently using it, who's using it to do what. This is what our philosophy is all about. We use this little, this technology to work around with people at the grassroots, to help them get information, use information which they would have produced themselves in that same village, or from across some other place. Just keep on it. That's it. We started off as a research project within Microsoft Research, and then it was slowly incubated into an organization itself. Our aim is to currently reach out to about 1 million farmers in 11,000 villages across this country. Currently, what we believe, and you would also probably agree, that the biggest development worker is actually the government. They have the responsibility to take up it at scale. We as individuals, as organizations, have our limitations. And as Shubhranshu said, we do depend on funds, on external funds. Okay. So do we have our limitations based on the funds and inputs from external organizations, but we do firmly believe that it's a government who works at scale, who's got the responsibility to deliver at scale. And hence, as an initiation of this technology, not very necessary, that's our presence basically. Okay. In terms of the work that we do, we currently partnering with 2 state governments, one in Andhra Pradesh and the other in Bihar, to try and use this at scale. We've used it as a research project, and we've seen success, and hence people are excited about it. This is what the whole extension scenario is all about. But more than that, and as you would see, the number of extension agents to a farmer, those numbers are there. But what we saw during our research project was, as we talked to farmers and went to the research project was in Karnataka, by the way. We saw that, and we found out, and even the NSSO says that a farmer basically listens to another farmer most of the times. When it is external people coming in and talking to these farmers, they would listen to them, but probably do what the neighbor does. Which is also the same thing as we do. If you want to buy a TV or a refrigerator, we do talk to our friends and relatives as to what did you buy, where did you buy it from, and how are you using it, is it good, is it bad. This is exactly what the farmer also does. So what we do is we make these videos, and who makes these videos? What we do is we train people from self-help groups to, and when I say people, these are basically women who could use the remote controls on the television sets, who could use a mobile phone. If you could use a mobile phone with those icons in there, we got a technology which is called the play touch cameras, and we used to help train these SNG members to use these cameras to make these rudimentary videos. Now these were people whose education level varied from as low as class 7, 8 to maybe some women who would have gone through the first or second year of college. Where do they come from? They are currently from the government system itself, both in Andhra Pradesh as well as in Bihar, as well as in any other place that we work in. When we work with the government, there are extension functionaries, there are people like community resource persons, there are people like village agents, there are people like change agents, and people from within them, the women from within them are selected and trained to make these little videos. I'll come to one of the videos a little later. So okay, this is what the whole thing is all about. We use an approach where knowledge from within the community. Where does knowledge come from? This knowledge comes from practice. So farmers who've been practicing a lot of techniques are tapped into. Their experiences are recorded on, I think, small videos and taken across the state and even across boundaries of the state. Now the whole process includes something like training and capacity building, of course, because a new technology is being given to them. It also includes a knowledge management platform, which I'll come to. And it also includes a technology stack which helps to track as to if today as a farmer Pritam sees a video, what happens to that. It is not a one-way process where I as an essential worker come and talk to you all, make you sit down, talk to you all, tick off a format and then go away, not knowing what has happened to the information that I have given you. This slide is actually what is everything that we do. So we start with a process where we mobilize farmers, where we start working with the government and then take, with due permission from them, start working with rural communities. We mobilize them especially to know what new technology are being used. What we found out in both in Bihar and in Andhra Pradesh, and thankfully the governments are also very proactive about it, is that what many people called organic farming, many people called less chemical intensive farming, some people call it non-pesticidal management of agriculture. There's a slow but very steady effort towards it. Even governments are recognizing that yes, chemical intensive farming is not a very nice thing to do. Hence, in both the state governments of Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, we work with the Department of Rural Development there. I'll take the example of Andhra Pradesh because that's where I come from. There, we are trying to use and collect this information on non-pesticidal management of agriculture from farmers and take it to other farmers. To do that, we of course need the outreach functionaries of the government itself. So what we do is, as we go to the village, we first try to collect what is the need and what is the need of the farmers, and are the farmers doing anything about it. And yes, there is a huge amount of information available there. Now to do that alone, we're just 11 people in Andhra Pradesh and we have a plan to go to 5,000 villages. So we of course use the outreach support system of the government. And again, that also points towards the fact that if digital twin is not there tomorrow or day after, the system is still there to take it on. So what we do is we get this information. There are subject matter experts within the government system who validate it. And then we start this whole process of collecting and disseminating information. So from there starts the production process. A whole cadre of people, say now currently there are about 28 women, 28 what we call video resource persons. More than half of them are women. There's a huge attrition rate too because women can't travel as often that they need to. But these 28 people work in about 7 districts currently. We have plans of going to about 22 districts, every single district in Andhra Pradesh. These women go from district to district collecting information on a video mode. That then comes to a district level center which is called, and it's all within the government, It comes to a district level center called, they either call it a divisional computer center or a departmental computer center, where again a person within the government system is trained how to edit these videos and make a 7-10 minute video film out of it. These video films are then ratified again by the subject matter experts, especially regarding the content, the best practices, and by us around the technicalities of is the shot all right, is the lighting all right, is the sound quality all right, and then taken to the villages. To take it to the villages, which is the last bit, the diffusion bit, to take it to the villages, we have this whole cadre of village activists who are from within the Department of Rural Development, especially within the Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty. Now this is like a society, an NGO within the government, which in Andhra Pradesh there is, and which is currently also been replicated in many other states. Now the SERP has its own outreach functionaries. We train them. We train outreach functionaries from every single village where the government wants us to be. How do we do that? We currently do it on our own. We've got our training teams, but we are also trying to build up training teams from within the government. What happens is, this whole diffusion process is the all-important what we call the human-mediated system. The human-mediated system, where while showing a film, there's a play pause approach to it. A mediator, a village activist, He's given a little gadget. I'll show you what the gadget is. This gadget is used on a process where, while showing a video, she stops and asks the people, did you understand? Did you get it? Do you need to go over and over again? With a schedule of a weekly dissemination, practices are disseminated to the villages. I'll probably stop there and I'll show you some other some gadgets and tracking methods that we use. So what happens is basically, yeah, we can switch it out. We'll go to the website later on. What happens basically is, a gadget like this. This is called a pico projector. This is as big probably as currently our mobile phones is, and this is yeah, excuse me. Can you switch it off, please? Can you switch that off, please? Yeah. Now this is what is given to, and some of the lights, please. This is what is given to every single village activist. The government is procuring these and giving to village activists. The best part of these is this can be charged for about 2 hours and will run for another hour. So at the village level, and this is not meant for a room of this size. This is meant for a room of just half of this, blue color area that we have. This is got an inbuilt speaker to it, or we also provide some speakers. And then as we so as this. I know there's a little paucity of time, so what I'll do is similar. When a lady uses a pico projector like this, and when a video like that is shown, they are taught to pause in between to ask questions. By using that, the information stays in the village. An external agent need not come in from outside. The information within that, the videos are from within Andhra Pradesh. So currently we have a list of about 63 videos which are being made by community people. These 63 videos are given to each DCC, to each district community center. So when these people come in for the reviews, they load it on their machines, and within the scheduled date, basically, which is based on the seasons, because this is agriculture. So what practice is supposed to be shown to which farmer, in which village, in which season is planned out on say a monthly basis, and these are disseminated. Post dissemination, what happens is I'll show you. Yeah, no, we'll go to tools. So this is our website. On our website, we have this open source algorithm where anyone who wishes to use it to track activities can track it. Currently, the government is using. We go to tools. Yeah. As I said, this is an open source software. This COCO is called Connect Offline. The governments in two states are using it. Then what happens is this data entry is currently done by all DCC people, where in whichever districts people are using these videos. As soon as a video is shown, we'll go to that. We'll go to analytics dashboard. Yeah. Data is entered by the DCC person. This is government data. Everything that you see here is government data. So this can be seen even on a mobile phone. People are using this currently on a mobile phone. So even a secretary can see this. Even the outreach functionary can see this if they wish to. And this is what the tracking is all about. The whole tracking shows on a daily, and this is like a near real-time thing. So as soon as the data comes in, within like 7 days most of the times after dissemination happens, This data comes in onto the government portal. What also tracks is, if today a video is shown, what happens in the next 7 days? Do farmers adopt it? How many of them are adopting it? How many of them are not adopting it? And if they're not adopting, what are the reasons? So we go back, there's a whole list of questions that come, the doubts that come. Everything happens in the bilingual form, especially in Andhra Pradesh. In Bihar, they're trying to do it in Hindi too. So this is the whole technology of it, where information generated at the village level is disseminated across in the same village and across the whole state, across geographical boundaries. So I'll stop there. I know this is a lengthy thing and everything can't be told in 20 minutes. But if there are questions to it, if you can take a couple of them. Okay.
Pritam, I'm feeling awfully guilty for having shortened your presentation. It is so interesting, the kind of work that you're doing. Maybe there will be another opportunity, or some of us can interact with you offline and learn more about it. Let me now go to Osama, and there's a reason why we have reversed the order. One is, of course, his video was coming on. The other is that he said he had a 3-hour video. And we all wanted to know the secret behind that stylish headgear. Osama.
Good morning. I think you have heard most of the things that you wanted to know in the morning about social democratization. I have 2 feature films of 5 minutes each and a slide of 35. You want to go through them, or you want to have a cup of tea? It's 10:30 already. Okay, so I don't know many of you know about Digital Empowerment Foundation. Any of you? Yeah, so that's very bad communication towards the Jharkhand, I guess, about Digital Empowerment Foundation. I will share a little bit of background because the word is social entrepreneurship. That means we are talking about taking risk into the areas of solving social problems. I think that's what social entrepreneurship is all about. If entrepreneurship is about taking risk and doing something with a risk, social is finding social issues and problems and solving the problem. That's what social entrepreneurship is. So a little background is that I run a technology-driven organization and I don't have any background. I did schooling in Ranchi, which is 2 hours drive from here, and I did graduation in 8 years. So that shows how long did it take, because everybody went to engineering line and medical line, and I was still struggling to figure out. I joined Air Force to prove a point and then ran away from there. Then, ultimately, after graduation, I did a journalism course. So I am also once a journalist, always a journalist kind of person. But my biggest asset is that I learned IT as a journalist in an IT magazine. So that's how I learned IT, and that too after 4 years of struggling for a job in Delhi. And I think by nature I was a risk-taking person. And somehow I believe, I don't want to argue on this, but I believe you are born entrepreneur. You are not, it's very difficult to inculcate risk-taking habits, if you are a risk taker, you are born with this risk taking, and risk taking is part of your life, and that goes into entrepreneurship. I had a girlfriend who was in graduation. I was in 9th class. I was beaten red and blue by her uncle in 9th class because I was caught at 2 a.m. in the morning outside her door, and at 4 o'clock in the morning I was beaten through, and then my father went, threw me out of the house, and I went to village in 9th class and came back and then examined the other classmate. And I still got 71%, and everybody was thinking, what is happening? And it continued. And graduation is also 8 years because of similar kind of scenario. Because the college was on the other side where, where the class is not used to happen. So this habit was there, and then 4 years also took to find a job is because, again, the same scenario. Job was somewhere else, and I used to spend time somewhere else. But you know, what was most important, I never lost track that I wanted to be a journalist. So and everybody who said that, you know, Urdu Hindi medium school se padh ke aaye ho, minorities hai, and you are trying into English journalism, that's not possible. And anyway, so my journalism started in a developmental magazine called Down to Earth. You may have heard of Down to Earth magazine. They threw me out in 2 months because I didn't write the story properly. Then it took another 3 years to find another job. So finally I got a job in an IT magazine, and in 2 years in an IT magazine, I wrote so many stories that I became the head of the interactive media division of Hindustan Times. And whatever you see in Hindustan Times, it's now what, you know, was started as a .com. And then I ran a company for 4 years, a software company without knowing ABCD of coding. And that I sold off and started DEF. So DEF was a call when I was writing a book called Internet Economy of India in 2001. I realized that the whole country was suffering from information poverty. You know, 90%, 95% of the country is not even known properly. They don't have a means to access information. And somehow I realized that all the problems that we are talking about is a mundane problem. The basic problem is that we don't have information that we want, and we don't have a means to provide the information whom I have to provide. So there is this gap which is basically creating every problem, because we don't have asset problem, we don't have a resource problem, we are like Sony ki Chudiya and everything is everywhere, but why we are still poor is something that was bothering me a lot. And this word called digital divide was, you know, I thought that it is not a digital divide, because divide is something where the other side or the wrong side of the people are lesser in number and the, you know, positive side is higher. In India, digital divide, 95% of the people are digitally divided on the wrong side. So I think we have more digital opportunity rather than digital divide. And we realize that that's the area that we need to work. Unless that problem is solved, none of the problems are going to be solved. And if you really go deeper into it, that's the basic problem of it. And I will tell you the intensity of that problem. Next, please. So this is the face of India. This is exactly we look like. You know, most of part, India is. Next. So what is rural India? More than 70% of India is rural India. Am I right? You want her to talk to her? Okay. So next is, so 70% is rural, and we all know that. And what is the character of this rural India is what Shubhranshu did. We are a natural people. We were born with a communication medium that the God has given us, which is oral. We know how to speak, we know how to listen. And that's the medium. Incidentally, technology took many 100 years to find out a tool which can now talk and listen, which is mobile. And that's the reason why we are in a fascinating era where, you know, the medium is changing, and it's very beautiful that we talk about this power, that how much we are illiterate because of the medium. We are not illiterate otherwise. Just because I cannot read and cannot write, you tell me that you are illiterate, isn't it? Imagine it. But now we are also figuring out that the technology is there to recognize the uniqueness in you, either in from the biometric or in the eye reading and all that. So the signature is also going to be now either oral or visual. So technology is now almost reaching the natural phenomena of what nature has given to you, and that's very, very important, which makes the whole world literate and educated just because the medium is changing. That's very, very important for all of us to realize this and the power of it. And what are the medium that we have? We have radio, we have cinema, television. This is how we have progressed. If you really look at it, this is how we have progressed. And the reason, these are all academic also, but very important, because if you are thinking in the modern era, these are the first screen, the second screen, the third screen, and I think into the era of fourth screen, which is your mobile, you know, very most powerful screen, which includes everything. And if you go further, we are now getting into an interactive medium. which is audio, visual, and interactive. Now you don't like the medium which cannot talk to each other. Radio has been talking to one way, TV has been talking one way, but now suddenly why radio is becoming also interesting? Because mobile is enabling them to become real time. Earlier it was not real time. So just keep these platforms in mind and see where are we, and you will realize that what are we. We have 1.2 billion population, more than 900 million mobile penetration, which looks like that we are almost 80-90%, country is connected. And I'll tell you, no, it is not, because if you look at the unique user of the mobile, it is not less than 350 to 400 million, which is still only about 35-40%. In fact, absolute number of mobile penetration in our country is 26%. You will be amazed to know that, but that is true. It looks like that everybody has got a mobile, but 26% is the absolute number. It's not more than that. TV is 180 million, but that's household. We have 270 million household, I guess, in the country. We are not there. Radio is 120 million. Internet is 100 million. We are the third largest country on the internet. Looks like that we are the top of the world, but 92% of our country doesn't know what internet is all about. They can't access it. Even in this campus, 3G doesn't work. No, it doesn't work properly. On Airtel, yeah, and they don't allow you to use anything else once you are on their network. Information kiosks, which you heard in Equity also yesterday, how information kiosks, they are about 100,000 in this country, which is a medium because that is a place where one can go and have access. Community radio is a new medium that has been experimented because now every NGO can become a broadcaster. If you are more than 3-year-old, you can apply and you can become. There are hassles, but there is a possibility that you can have a community radio, and which is very interesting because you can broadcast around 10 to 15 kilometers, and if you connect with the mobile in real time, it becomes extremely powerful. So this is a medium to look out for any NGO who is genuine and working. It's a very powerful medium to try out. Now, look at this whole thing that I told you that 90% of India is our customers, but we are hardly looking at them as a customer for anything. Either it's an entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship. They are the citizens who are also your customers, and there is a business. And what DF is doing for the last 10 years is doing most basic things which everybody has stopped doing it. And there is a huge business in that area, and I'll tell you each one of them how this is making business. So information poverty is the topic that we are talking about. This is a lady, I'll tell you 4 or 5 sectors that we work in. She is a sarpanch, she learned computer at the age of 16, and now she has made the entire village digitally literate in Rajasthan. She won the election in the panchayat by spending 500 rupees or 600 rupees. She is like a 60-year-old Arvind Kejriwal, you can say in her area. She is the person responsible for putting into legislation in Rajasthan that women wages should be the same as men, which was not earlier was the legislation. And now she works in her office on the computer and use computers and everything properly and internet properly to work in her panchayat. She looks at every day what are the new schemes have come, how do I disseminate and all that. And why I'm telling you is because of this. There are 250,000 panchayats in our country. Now, that everybody knows. But do you know we elect 3 million people if you put together all the elected members in our country? 3 million people. We keep talking about whether this person is connected or not, this poor person is connected or not. But not a single panchayat is properly connected or having a web presence or their office is properly digitized. And we are talking about democracy. So in the area of transparency, creating and democracy, we started working on panchayat and putting the panchayat online. And why do we do online is because that is the only medium which is permanent medium. There is no other medium which is permanent. I'm sure you will all agree. TV is perishable with time. Newspaper is perishable by the evening. Radio is perishable by you can't listen to the same voice unless it is on the web. So the web is the only permanent medium where you can park the content and anybody and everybody can access. This is extremely important in the era of information when a country is not even searchable if you are not on the web. You are not searchable if you are not on the web. So you do not exist if you are not on the web. Gradually, that is what will happen. Today, if you ask any question, the first thing you do is Google. If it does not give you a reply, you don't even feel like going to the library and taking out a book and finding out do you exist on the at the bottom of the page or not. That's how things are moving. So if you are not online, you do not exist, and this is extremely important for you, your area, your family, your region, your country, and state, everything. If you want to become existing in this world, you need to be online. And that is the reason for everything. So, in other words, I'm saying web page making is a serious business. Now, because 90% of the country doesn't exist on the web. So that's a business. People are ready to pay. Yesterday they were asking to pay 50,000 rupees or 10,000. Today you can make a page for 500 or for 200. And if you make millions of pages, you can become a real social entrepreneur with tons of money. And that is a possibility. And if you convert it into a legislation, that means government can ask you to make 250,000 pages or the website. That's again a serious money. So, and also it will create transparency at the bottom of the pyramid. So that's how we take the, we work at 3 levels: advocacy, building the websites. If you go to epanchayat.in, you will see 500 panchayats are online from all across the country. And about 5,000 sarpanches have been trained in IT and they do know how to make computers. But we are trying to put into legislation that how it can become a serious business of the government and make it sure that every panchayat should be online. For that matter, any elected member should be online and their constituency should be online. This is a lady who ran an NGO. 3 years back, she didn't have a website. We built a website for her. There are 3.3 million NGOs in our country. This lady is now selling products online. Now she is using internet, getting volunteers from abroad. They are working at a grassroots level. That is how the web presence has made a difference. So there is a program called eNGO program. We give free website to any NGO and they renew it by giving $50 next year, which is about 2,500 rupees or 3,000 rupees next year. We have done 2,000 websites of NGOs, not only here in India, but Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, and Nepal. Most of the places we put NGOs online. And these NGOs are those NGOs absolutely at the grassroots level who do not even want to have a website because they will have to pay few rupees. So we say, don't pay anything. We will give you everything: domain, hosting, and unlimited. We are like a Google for NGOs website, and this you can go and pir.engo.org. There are 2,000 NGOs you will find per state, which are the NGOs online. And if any of you or NGOs who have a network want your network NGOs to be online, just let us know and we'll put them online. This is a constant program, and not that we do it free of cost. We get funding from somewhere to put it online. Our target this year is to put at least 5,000 NGOs online, and from this year we will also start giving the .ngo as a domain. So your NGO .ngo can be a domain. So now you can typically recognize that we are not any organization, but a typical not-for-profit organization, which is NGO. And it is serious business because we get 80% of the NGOs renew them every next year. That means, and we are so much under pressure because DF cannot earn a commercial money. We are separating out and making a proper company to make it a full-time business. So imagine out of 3.3 million NGOs, even if you have 20% NGOs existing and functional, it's a serious business again of making a web page, or a Facebook page or whatever. Again, schools, there, kids and schools. How many schools are there in our country? Do you have any idea? 1.2 million schools in our country. None of them are online. I'm talking about the government data. But we have and whatever they do is also not online, obviously, because we are a country where we grow, where when you put an exam, you get 8 by 10, but your answer paper is, thrown into a dustbin, even though you are 80% right according to the marking. So your content is no value after being checked and given into a mark sheet. So what we do is that whatever children make, we put them online, not what teacher has done or what curriculum has been done. We are saying creative content is very important. put them online. It is a shared content, it is a creative content, even if they say that India doesn't exist in Asia, but maybe in Africa, in the creative content, but at least they know how to make a map. So that's, yeah, I mean, why not? They know how to make a paper, put it on a PowerPoint. So that's important. And that is how we are working in the education sector. We are planning that every school should be online so that their kids will be online, their teacher will be online, and you make your area present online. So that's the powerful way of putting the content online. This is again, this guy is very famous. I don't know, you know him, Raghav. He's a 2-class pass. He knows how to make transmitter, community radio that you want. He broadcasted 15-kilometer area in Vaishali and then almost escaped going to jail because it was illegal. He works with us and he makes radio, transmitter. You give it anything and he made transmitter, 15-kilometer broadcasting transmitter from this. How did he make it? Because he said, if there is no wire, how can I be speaking here and people are listening there? So he ripped it apart and in 100 rupees he made a transmitter, which was of this size. You can keep it in the pocket and broadcast at 15 kilometers anywhere. And he did it for 5 years in Vaishali district. Before the police realized that, oh my God, he was illegally broadcasting. And he used to sell this. This is the music shop that he had. And he सारे गाने illegally चलाता रहता था उसमें. And people used to come and announce and all that. So he used to do a good business by the time he was caught. And then we told him that why don't you, come and work with us. And then he got into a new problem that he had a girlfriend who was not even 18. So दोनों को हमने transport करके उसको 18 कराया फिर शादी कराई. Because these are social entrepreneurship requirements, which you will not read in the Excel sheets and the books on how to tackle these issues. No, he seriously came with his wife. He said, "Sir, ये अभी 18 की नहीं हुई है और हमको इससे शादी करना हम दोनों भाग गए." We sent him then to Tilonia and I told Pankaj that we have to say, "Bola, हम भी जाएंगे जेल, तुम भी जाओगे जेल." हमने कहा, but he is committed. So, and now she is a solar engineer. His wife is a solar engineer, and she is running a full-fledged computer center in Vaishali. And he is a network engineer who can network any area wirelessly. Now in the new medium that he is working in, and that's his story that I wanted to share with you. That how community radio and wireless and everything come together. These are inspiring stories also that you will find if you go into the rural areas. But you need to learn how to work with such people. Most of us are taught in the XLRIs of the world how to tackle with the people with a suit and boot, who can talk a lot. And these people do not talk a lot. वो 1 घंटा मेरे सामने खड़ा रहेगा कुछ नहीं बोलेगा. But वहीं पे बोलेगा ये कोई साइड में खड़ा है and computer is not working. उसके बाद suddenly आधे घंटे के बाद that computer will be working. Because he took it and he made it. Because his concentration was there. So you need to understand how to, work with rural India to make them, like everybody was rethinking development. How do you need to realize how to go and live with them, to work with them. There is a huge business there. You need to really think of how you can enjoy rural India, then there is a huge business. I'm not saying charity only. When we talk about rural India, it's not about charity. It's about serious business, but you need to understand that. This is a flagship story that we have created in the last 3 years called Chanderi is a place of silk saris, everybody knows them. When we went there about 3.5 years back, their turnover was 58 crore of the entire Chanderi, 3,500 families, they all weave, no idea of computers, IT, anything. Now in short, in the last 3 years, according to the study that is done by Alberta and Irma on this effort that we have done, their turnover of the entire area has reached 150 crores. Not that we have got a budget, a part of it, but information asymmetry is the main issue. It's only information asymmetry because of which this entire thing was not happening and now it is happening. Most of the people have started using internet, they have started knowing where I can sell, they design on a computer now. The loop is all intact. But the design used to take a lot of time on a graph paper. And on a graph paper, you cannot design 6.5 meter sari. So whenever you go onto the weave, you used to do mistakes of designing. And when you are designing, weaving a sari, it takes about 15 days or a month. And small mistake because of which if you can't sell the sari, then the entire effort is gone haywire, your entire dihadi has gone haywire, and you are absolutely negative. And because this entire design has gone into computer, the whole time and risk and everything has been taken care of. More than that, and these are weavers who design on computers now. We are not designing. They go to all the Chanderi areas, click the photos of all the forts, they bring it and scan it, put the photographs into the computer, take the bootas and put it into the sari or whatever dupatta. And then the design is increasing. We have about 10,000 design accumulated just by clicking the photographs of all the monuments in Chanderi. They all work on a computer and it transferred into the jacquard, and from there it goes into the loom. And finally they have a, how do I show the film? Can you? Yeah, there is a small film that you can, this is tastier than tea, I'm sure.
3 years is a short period, yet sometimes even a short time span can make a world of difference, as it has done in Chanderi. Chanderi is a small municipality of Ashoknagar district in Madhya Pradesh. It has a population of just over 40,000, 40% of whom are illiterate. The nearest railway station is 45 kilometers away. There is no ATM facility, and electricity is for only 6 hours every day. A traditional weaving cluster is the main source of income for Chanderi. Here, 3,500 weaving families create the famous Chanderi saris. These generate an annual revenue of $10 million. However, the average income of a weaver is only $50 per month. Before 2010, there was no computer penetration and 100% computer illiteracy in Chanderi. In 2010, a digital design resource center called Chanderi was set up. It was like a drop in a pool, but a drop whose ripples have spread wider and wider. Through Chanderi, people of Chanderi got a taste of digital tools, computers, internet, broadband, YouTube, and so on. After that, there was no looking back. By 2011, computer training centers were opened. Ordinary households, hotels, and offices installed computers and internet connections.
Our main mission is to introduce digital tools to the viewers so that they can get connected and introduced to the modern world. I have taught more than 1,000 students and adults across Chanderi, all from viewers' families.
Initially, we learned how to start and shut down computers. Now my 8-year-old son operates a computer freely and frequently accesses the internet.
Being a viewer, we need lots of design resources. We also search market to sell our products. Through internet, now we have access to enormous design archives, access to markets, and opportunity to exploit a wider consumer base.
Through the efforts of Chanderi, computer knowledge and literacy has spread rapidly. Thus, Pritam 25, who has barely passed school, learned digital archiving at Chanderi. Now he trains others in designing apparel and textile on computers. The internet has exposed the world to the citizens of Chanderi. By 2013, there were over 50 households with Wi-Fi connections. 11 out of the 13 schools have Wi-Fi connections and computer centers. 2 of the hotels in Chanderi boast Wi-Fi internet connections. Even a couple of madrasas now have internet connections and computer labs. Equally, the internet has exposed Chanderi to the world. Wow.
Anyway, so
it is just the beginning, but the beginning has taken deep roots.
Now you can order online, chanderian.net. In the last 20 days, we got about 50,000 rupees of order online. Only from India, not even abroad. So now what we are doing is that we are selling it online. And there are designers who live there in the mahal that we have got on Grant, where all these design centers are there. And not a single person in the entire Chanderi does designing on paper now. They all get it done in our center. And even if they're using their own loom, they get it designed here and they get it, they take it to their loom. So, and then the entire area, 5-kilometer area, is total Wi-Fi. Total Wi-Fi. Anybody can take the connection. And this cluster area is itself a business that I wanted to tell you. Is that in India, we all live in the clusters. You know, if you traditional art or culture or skill-based, you know, we all are. यहाँ बाहर जो दुकानें लगी थी, ऐसे दुकानें पूरे इंडिया में हर जगह पे पड़ी हैं. लेकिन उसको हम कैसे exploit करें, that we don't know. We don't know how to reach the market. There is an exploitation. There is a total middleman things, but technology is not being utilized. So that itself is a huge, you know, business opportunity. How to work in a cluster, and then you know work with the internet connectivity, work with the design, work with whatever. There's so many possibilities. E-commerce, digital literacy, and so on and so forth. So anybody can check, and I think all of you, since all of you are connected, I would say that please, I would request, please spread this word so that we sell more and the money goes back to the community. And if you want an e-commerce site developed under 1 lakh, we can do it. Anywhere between 50,000 to 70,000, e-commerce site done, including payment gateway and everything. You will not hear this as from anybody else. Most of the people, e-commerce site means a lot of money. But we have figured out, no, it is not too much of a money. You know. So anybody can put up a website on a you know, open source technology. Payment gateway के लिए थोड़ा पैसा लगता है, but all together an e-commerce site with shopping rack can be built under 1 lakh. And any of you want, we will be happy to do it, and we can teach you how to do it. If you want to open a shop and do the same thing, we will be happy to do that. So that is done. Next. Yeah, so these are some more inspiring stories where women are in the remote area, they're using community radio, they are using, you know, mobile also. Mobile is another tool for, you know, fighting domestic violences. And many of them are being funded. We have a fund called Mobile for Good for the NGOs. We have funded about 13 organizations. And we are also happy to be associated with CGNet Swara to support their initiative also under the same scheme. And we are looking for the similar kind of ideas every year. This is another story of how do we do Wi-Fi, but I guess that will be too much for me to. Yeah, isn't it? So this is another story, another video. All this is online. You can go on w4c.in where you can see all these videos. And yeah, so all this story is all about how this connection happens at a grassroots level and how connectivity can be provided, how connecting them is serious business, bringing them online is a serious business. All this is possible. You just have to market. One area is governance, the second area is NGO, the third area is MSME, the fourth area is education, the fifth area is health. These are the areas that you need to look at, 5 areas. You don't need to look at the individual, look at this sector, and sector at an institutional level. Once that institutional level is done, rather than you think that the mareez ko kaise hum connectivity दें, you think about the hospital ko kaise दें, you know, PHCs ko kaise दें, CHCs ko kaise दें. That is more important because that itself will enable the communities. So this is the last slide. What we are working on as a future is that we are looking for 6,000 change makers to work in 6,000 blocks with 6,000 centers in the next 5 to 10 years. That's what the DEF is looking for. We have about 30 centers at the moment. By the end of this year, we will have about 100 centers. But we are looking at that there should be one motivated person in each block. We can really make a change with the digital technologies. Thank you very much.
We have to take a call. No tea, and I know there will be lots and lots of questions, but the boss is also saying questions versus tea. How many people want to go for? Well, you are the only one who said question over tea, so maybe we can cut short the tea break by about 15 minutes and can we take 2 or 3 questions? And I know this was awesome. All three, Osama, Pritam, Shubhranshu. I know there are lots and lots of questions, lots and lots of ideas, lots of interaction which need to happen. Madhukar will set up an interactive coordinates for us, so we can always reach to you separately. But maybe 2 questions. Let me take one from that side and I will come to you for sure. Yes, sir.
This is a query from Digital Green. When the editing is happening at the central level, the whole idea can get disrupted because of seniors deciding what might be happening in the field. So they might like. So, did you have any such experience?
Yes, sir. We did think that it could happen because there is a BDO sitting somewhere, a PDDRDA sitting somewhere, knowing that editing of a film is happening in his or her office. But what we do is we always take them into confidence, saying that this is about a practice that has worked well. There is a live farmer. Every single video that you see, sir, is not about an actor talking about the practice. It's about a practitioner himself or herself telling that I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and this is what I've got. Till date, we haven't faced, even with the government, by working at large scale with the government, obstruction in terms of the content. Because at the end of the day, it is their people at the state level who validate these contents.
Any other questions? The team won over the question, that's for sure. Thank you very much, Osama. Thank you very much, Pritam. Thank you very much, Shubhranshu. Can we get a...
Memento or appreciation to all the speakers.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we break for tea. It's 11 K. There's a symbol here.